Bill, it's our turn.
Oh dear.
Well, I want to say, first of all, that Bill is wearing a very special stole. His favorite character is Snoopy. He likes Charlie Brown. But I want you to know that the stole that he's wearing does have a biblical reference. And if you look closely, you'll see on the bottom, this stole represents Psalm 143, verse 8. So we'll start with that because I looked it up. And you can see Snoopy here, and he is celebrating, and what he is responding to are these words. Let me hear of your steadfast love in the morning, for in you I put my trust. Teach me the way I should go, for to you I lift up my soul. And that's what's illustrated on Bill's stole. So, now we're ready to start. Are you ready?
Okay.
Our title this morning is Looking Back, Looking Forward, and we're going to start by looking back. Bill Gardei, as most of you know, is a preacher who consistently gave deep and insightful sermons. He preached many of them. And so we're going to start, Bill, by asking you to think back to your past. And the question is, of all the sermons that you preached, what would you say was your most memorable?
I always wanted to be close to the people of life, and not only through the church, but beyond the church. And this is an instance of my rich and wondrous gift, not mine, but a gift I received from doing just that. I was asked by a classmate of mine to preach for him on Sunday morning in the largest maximum security prison in the New York State. I arrived at the auditorium in the prison's confined complex, and excuse me, I slipped a gear. I'll be right back.
I know that you said you got to the auditorium,
okay.
And you preached on the prodigal son, I think.
Yes, now I know. And I went to the pulpit, and it was during the time of the 60s and 70s when enthusiasm reigned in many expressive ways. And one of the expressive ways was, right on, man, right on. And the first time that I was acquainted with people responding to a sermon was when I was preaching an Easter sermon in high school. And one of the older men said, "Amen, brother," and I forgot what I was supposed to say. So it's a startling effect. And I was behind the pulpit properly, looking out on about 300 to 400 men, and was preaching on the prodigal son, which I treasure as a biographical sketch of all of us in many ways. So I said something to them about being in the wilderness, and then something about not having to stay there. And that elicited, "Right on, brother." And I got courage, I swear to goodness, from that comment to step from behind the pulpit, which I was hiding behind, and stepped out on the platform and on again with the sermon, and again, "Right on, brother," rang out, and I went from the platform to the auditorium floor. "Right on, brother," and I went into the midst of the people, the inmates. And my conclusion was on the auditorium floor, and I said, "You can stay in the wilderness, and that's It's your choice. But you don't need to stay in the wilderness. You can come home. We have people here looking for you and waiting for that renewal. And 300 to 400 men stood up and came after me. And 30-some guards left the room and scattered. Monday morning, I went back to work there where I was working, and learned that I had to go to the warden's office, and the warden asked me to come in and was very polite and proceeded forthwith to ban me from ever speaking in a prison system again. And it did the opposite effect on the men. I went from being a do-gooder to being a friend in the journey. That was a marvelous gift.
What an experience. And that also is not only, I mean, your ministry in the prison has made an indelible effect on you and others, but also your work with the black population. I know that in addition to serving parishes, your work with black people has made a huge difference. Can you tell us about that?
It was during the time of city transformation. Migrants, some of the inner city was still peopled by fairly wealthy folks, and they migrated out into the suburbs as the folks in the black community moved into their area. And among other things I did do was to sit on the curb and talk to the young people, until one night, or one late afternoon, some big burly Black Panthers came by, and they said, "Boy, move on." I said, "Yes, sir." It was partly my sense of humor with these people, but mostly a growing understanding of the love that they had and expressed to one another. So I worked with family units, I worked with street people, and had the privilege of receiving from the community in New Milford, Connecticut, a certification of the gratitude of the black community for the work that we were able to do together.
Well, you've received a lot of gratitude from black people in Connecticut, but you've also received a lot of gratitude from people in Cape Porpoise. And I know that one of the most rewarding achievements that you achieved was right here, and in your more recent years of ministry, the last two. So do you want to tell about why your tenure here was so gratifying to you?
I came to a sad situation, and I'd been warned that there was some anger involved, and warned was not the right word, but been apprised of the fact that there was anger. And so I met the people and tried to make sure that what we did together, rather than impose it as an authoritarian, oh, that's a terrible position to be in, as the authority. I said, let's learn together. And I believe that you have the answer, I don't. You have it, and we'll work together to find it. And the interplay of myself with the people here soon brought a response of quiet assessment of acceptance of my role that was being played out. It was 100% the people who made possible a renewal of this church life. And it has remained, for me, a source of joy ever since. And think of it, it was not anything that I had to do. It was something I had to work on and see and put together. And so I became a kind of a, I don't know what to call it. I better be careful. Bill Lord said not to swear. It was a joy to me, and it was easy to get a build-up of a big head, but I hope I haven't.
Thank you, Bill. And now we're going to fast forward to the present, to a time where you landed someplace else, a place you didn't quite expect to be. And I want to start out by telling the congregation that recently Durgan Pines had a distinguished visitor in Senator Angus King. And when the senator arrived, he was told that he would have the opportunity to talk to one resident. And you, as I understand, was the chosen spokesperson. So, would you like to tell us what you told Senator Angus King?
It was a look-see at the facility of Durgan Pines by a state official who we were hoping that we could win the trust and the belief in us. So I came there in much distress. Because of Parkinson's, because of blindness, because of heart trouble. These things played a role in how present I was to anything, and learned and discovered that I was being a pain in the... Tap it down, okay. To my wife.
Right on.
Yeah. And as a result, we had an encounter of not very nice times. And I learned afterwards, or learned subsequently, that I was being beset by hallucinations. And it took me into a different space. So that I came in with my old understandings of nursing homes, the home where old people go to die, and it's simply a warehousing situation. They're not worth anything now. Their memories are gone. They don't contribute. They drain, and that was the attitude that I had about what a warehouse was for nursing homes. Until I came and listened to how we were treated by, and are treated by, staff. And it has transformed my own understanding of what can happen, and my dream, which is my second point that I'd like, that we could build significant direction of treating aging process as an important step in a further expression of life itself. We don't end our life because we're old. We begin anew if we wish, and it never really ends. So that's what I told the good senator would be.
So what you said to him was that he should treat, or that the people at nursing homes should treat people as if they are not at the end of the road, but at the beginning.
Correct.
And what an exciting approach that is. So I want to ask you now about how your faith helps you cope with what you are facing on a day-to-day basis. Here you are, a man of faith. Here you've been a minister all these years. What are you drawing on, and how is your faith helping you live day by day?
I was always afraid that I would make a mistake and not do it right or do it properly or find acceptance. And I was embarrassed to step out and say some of the things that I believed that were in disagreement with the powers that be. But I've always had a naughty edge to my life. And they became my focus. So I found that, I forget where I was going.
I think that you keep your eyes on Christ. And
My response to this, yes. So I questioned everything that I did, and feeling it was inadequate, until I began to realize I never felt I had a call. I never felt there was a sparkle plenty going on in my soul for doing what I was doing. I felt more or less I was just guided into this role and proceeded to follow it as best I knew how. Until one day I woke up in great aspirations of ignorance. I never did search out what was happening until this awareness that I wasn't a bumpkin only, but I was somebody that was making a difference. And please pay attention, said somebody to me. This has been your call. You've responded in fullness of your faith to the fact that you were, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen, and that was more than played out in my life. What I was doing I did not understand. When I saw what was happening, I did, and I gave thanks, and that gave me more courage. Along with my birthday has come the courage to say what I want to say, fooey on you.
And now, in conclusion, Bill, as you begin a brand new decade of life, what do you want to say that's good about old age?
Now, how long do we have? I think that age is, as many things that have been said about it is great, especially 80, because you can forget and not know where you are and do all sorts of little tricks, and nobody cares. And that's a freedom that allows you to trust or not, but to trust I have tried, and that's my sense of serving the unknown, is trusting that I will be used to do one thing. If I've asked nothing else except this, that I might be an influence for the goodness that already exists within you. That matters to me.
And on that note, Bill, thank you so very, very much. And at this time, we have a nonagenarian who would like to say some words to you about the 80s. This person is 92, so respect your elder.
Okay, Bill, this is for you.
Stand up.
All right.
Today is the oldest you've ever been. It really would be last Thursday was the day there. I can't hold it a minute. Yet the youngest you'll ever be. You won't be 79 anymore, you know. Your kids are becoming you. Going out is good. Coming home is better. You forget names, but that's okay because others forget them too. You realize you're never going to be good at everything, especially golf. If things you used to care to do, you no longer can do. But you really do care that you don't care to do them anymore. If you spill food down your front, if your shoes don't match, or if you take another person's hat by mistake, or if you carry a letter around a week before mailing it, it's all right because you're 80. At 80, you can relax with no misgivings. You have a perfect alibi for everything. Nobody expects much of you. If you act silly, it's your second childhood. You sleep better on a long chair with television blaring than you do in bed. It's called pre-sleep. You miss the days when everything that worked you could just use on and off. You tend to use more four-letter words. What? Where? Why? Everybody whispers. Now that you can afford jewelry, it's not safe to wear it anymore. What used to be freckles are now liver spots. You have 3 sizes of clothes in your closet, 2 of which you'll never wear. But old is good in some things. Old songs, old movies, old friends. If you ask me, life begins at 80.